Vikings. It's First Chapter Friday, and today we're going to read 10 good and bad things about my life so far by Anne Martin. Lexie, I said on the first day of 5th grade, "Are you nervous about school?" It was 6:10 a.m., and I was in the hall outside my big sister's bedroom, leaning backward against her door, talking largely to the air. Lexie used to hang a no pearl sign on the door to keep me out, but these days I was welcome in her room as long as I was A, fully clothed, since Lexie still didn't approve of underwear visits, and B, prepared to start a meaningful conversation. Like I couldn't interrupt her homework or violin practice to say if Biddy died and then came back to life as a human, do you think he would ask me to marry him? Biddy's our cat. Or have you kissed your new boyfriend yet? Actually, I thought the kissing question could start a very meaningful conversation, but Lexie never seemed to want to discuss either her boyfriend or kissing with me. There was no answer when Lexie's room. In fact, there was no sound at all in the apartment. That was probably because it was 6:10 a.m. Everyone was still asleep except me. Everyone except me, Pearl Littlefield. I was so nervous about starting the 5th grade, and I was so curious to find out whether Lexie was nervous about starting high school. "Lexie," I said again. "Lexie." I heard a thump from my parents' room and decided to lower my voice. "Lexie," I said in a louder whisper. "Pearl, what?" replied my sister suddenly, yanking her door open. I fell into her room and landed on my bottom. "What are you doing? It isn't even 6:15 yet." I got to my feet. "Are you nervous about school?" Lexie clapped her hand to her forehead and flung herself on the bed. "You're asking me this now?" "Well, duh. It was the first day of school. When was I supposed to ask?" "I needed to know," I told her. Lexie rolled her eyes, or at least I think she did. She'd already closed her lids, but I could see that her eyeballs were rolling around underneath. "I guess so," she replied finally. "Everyone is nervous on the first day of school, Pearl." "No, not everyone. I don't think JBT3 is nervous. JB3 is my new best friend. His complete name is James Brubaker III, but I shortened it to JB3, which when you say it out loud is JB3. So maybe you should talk to JB3, said Lexie, and let me go back to sleep." Her alarm rang, then she made a face at me, but frankly, it was as mean a face as she could have made a few months ago. She turned off the alarm, patted me on her shoulder, and she headed for the bathroom and said, "You'll be fine, Pearl." I wonder what happened a few months ago. An hour and a half later, I called goodbye to Mom and rode to the lobby for our apartment building with my father and Lexie's cell phone. There's no cell phone reception on elevators, but my sister had gotten a head start on her phone call by already speed dialing her best friend, Valerie. Now her thumb was poised over the send button, prepared to press in the very second she stepped out of the elevator. So not to waste a moment contacting Valerie about important high school business. But she didn't have to do that. When the elevator's door opens, there was Valerie, and also the two Emmas sitting on the couch in the lobby across from John, my favorite doorman. They were wearing a lot of black eyeliner and staring at their cell phones and not talking. But when they saw Lexie, they jumped up. And the four of them started squealing and hugging like they hadn't been together the afternoon before. "Bye, Dad. Bye, Pearl," called Lexie, and she and her grown-up friends rushed out the door onto 12th Street. When you're 14, you don't need an adult to take you to school, even if you live in New York City. But when you're 10, you do. Also, just so you know, when you're 14, you got to have a cell phone and your own personal computer. But when you're 10, you don't. Well, I don't. Dad and I walked past John, who gave me a high five and said, "Break a leg, Pearl," which is a nice thing to say. Not a mean one, except you're supposed to say it to actors and not students, but hey, whatever. We stepped outside and I looked across 12th Street, and there was JB3 coming out of his building with his mother, who wanted to take a first day of school picture. JB3 posed for 1/2 and 1 second, and then joined Dad and me as we walked to Emily Dickinson Elementary. "Remember the first day of school last year?" I said to my father. "You walked Justin and me to Emily Dickinson. This year you're walking JB3 and me. Things certainly do change," replied Dad, and I thought he looked a little sad. That was because there had been a lot of changes in our lives besides who I walked to school with. We turned the corner to 6th Avenue and passed by all the familiar places on the neighborhood. If you would like to see what other changes have happened in Pearl's life, and you'd like to see how the first day of 5th grade went, come check out the good, the bad, the things so far in my life. It's in the library today. Have a great Friday.